Thanks for tuning in to more motorsports coverage on Prime Sports Network. As we promised a couple of days ago on our weekly NASCAR show, we're returning to IndyCar coverage. We've been absent for the past month or so because Eric has a new addition to the family. That took precedent. And so just before the final race of the season, Eric was able to make one last return, and that's why we figured let's put this together. There's only a couple of days left before the season's over in the IndyCar series. And Eric, who's it left up to? What's the championship down to?
Just three guys. Got Alex Palou leading the championship. Pato O'Ward's second. He's 35 points back. And then Joseph Newgarden's third.
Wow.
He's 48 points back.
What a shot.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, those three drivers. Nobody would have thought
crazy.
That.
Newgarden, I would have. The other two, I would probably not. I didn't expect Palou to be. I mean, I knew he was good. I didn't expect him to be this good, this quick. And Pato's a great driver. He's about where I thought he'd be, right? Top 3 points. But yeah, here we are. It's crazy that IndyCar doesn't need a playoff, and we come to the last race, no gimmicks. And granted, I can hear you see there are some gimmicks in the series, but there is no playoff, and here we are at the final race, and three guys have a mathematical shot of winning, albeit one of them is a completely, really, really long shot, 48 points. He needs a miracle, but it could happen. It's IndyCar. We've seen things that change.
What has to happen?
So basically, Palou's got to finish 25th or worse. So he's basically, you get 5 points for showing up. So that would get you to 25th place. Joseph needs to win the pole. He needs to lead the most laps and the race. So
wow,
he's got to have a perfect weekend.
So he'll know right away if he doesn't win the pole, it's over.
Pretty much. The only other thing would be is still have to lead the most laps. Still hope Palou finishes 25th or worse, doesn't lead a lap, and then they'll tie. They're basically will tie, and Newgarden will win the tiebreaker because he's got to win. No matter what, he's got to win. But he's got to lead the most laps. So it's Saturday. Tomorrow he's going to know because you got to qualify up front to have any chance of winning this race. So, and he hasn't been doing that lately. So he will know tomorrow whether he's got a legitimate shot or not.
All right. And then the difference between O'Ward and Palou. What's O'Ward have to do to win?
He really still has first or second, and he's got Palou. We'll talk for Palou to win. He's got to finish 11th or better. Nothing else. He finishes
11th or better, no matter what happens, and anything else this weekend, he's the champ.
Yep. But here's the kicker, though. 35 points does seem like a lot, and it is. Especially the max you can score in a weekend is 54. But Alex Palou, out of the 15 races run, 4 of them he hasn't finished in the top 11. And granted, people are like, well, that's not very much. It's good odds that he's going to win. You got to look at. We've had 3 street course races. 2 of them, he finished 15th or worse.
Okay.
So this is a street course. He's admitted this isn't a strong suit of his. He's never been here before. We didn't run at Long Beach last year because of COVID. So Pato O'Ward, granted, he's a rookie too, but he's at his best on street courses. The last time in Belle Isle, he finished 3rd and 1st respectively. That's what he needs to do this week. If Belle Isle happens, and O'Ward win, if it just looks exactly the same way, O'Ward's going to come back from 35 points down to win this thing.
Okay.
So that's why it's not over yet. It feels like it is. I mean, Newgarden still got a chance. What happens if Palou gets wrecked early and Pato doesn't have a very good day? And Newgarden, 6 of his last 10 street course races, he's finished 1st or 2nd. He's really good on street courses too. So the door, while it seems like a long hallway to that door, it's open. It is open right now. So, anything can happen.
So Palou and O'Ward are 4-1 to win the race, and Newgarden is 8-1 to win the race. So those odds seem to be on par. Even though I'm probably a little bit surprised that Palou is 4-1, all things considered, of what based on what you said. He doesn't.
I'm shocked. Yeah, it's 4-1 to me seems. I mean, all year. I remember we talked about this before the baby. All these shows. That I kept saying how disrespected I felt like Palou was. He was 10-1, 12-1. Now all of a sudden, pin fluid. Now all of a sudden he's 4-1 seems very odd for a guy that hasn't got the good odds all year.
Maybe they think it's like NASCAR.
They must. It's like, and that stat, like I said, the NASCAR show, I looked it up to be sure. Out of the last 29 years, the driver to win the championship won the season finale 6 times. It's happened the last 7 years in
Yeah.
NASCAR. So the odds are not high for Palou to win this race. So for 4-1, I'd punt that away. Pato and Newgarden, for the reason they have to win anyways, and they're good on street courses, I'd probably roll with those two.
Yes.
But not Palou.
And especially because Palou doesn't care about winning. He just cares about, don't screw up my car, just get in the top 10.
Exactly. There's no sense to me in qualifying, because we've seen qualifying be down to tenths of a second, hundredths of a second. If I'm him, it's a street course, walls are on either side of you, I'm not going to push it late on the line as long. I just want to get out of the first round of qualifying, have a solid second round. I'm not worried about making the Fast Six, because if you wreck, I don't want to start in the back. Give me a solid top 12 starting spot and just let me hang out there all day. I'm not going to take any chances. Let people try to dive bomb me. You can have the spot as long as I know I'm in the top 11. So I don't think he's going to be too aggressive, which you have to be aggressive to win an IndyCar. And if I were him, I'd play it more conservative.
And he mentioned how important it is to start up front. The last 5 winners at Long Beach started in the top 2 rows.
Yep.
So that is going to – and when do we know – when's qualifying?
Saturday at 3.
Okay. And this is also the 4th street course of the season, or being the 5th race. And last year there was only 1, again, because of COVID. Yep. But we've had 7 winners out of the last 11 street course races. Is that help at all more Newgarden or Award?
Probably, I'd say more Newgarden, just because of Penske car. But the only thing that concerns me with him, where I'd say maybe more Award, is Newgarden just, their speed's gone. They don't know what happened. He's still puzzled. I mean, you look at the first 10 races of the year, he qualified in the top 10 in 9 of them, including 3 straight poles heading into that month-long break. Since we've come out of it, he's got 1 top 10 starting spot. The others are 12th or worse.
That's why I was surprised when I said, are you surprised about the 3 in contention? That's kind of like I was surprised about Newgarden. Not the name and how good he was or good he is, but it just hasn't been happening for the last couple of months.
It's been weird because he started off. Penske had a lot of battle. Yes, they went first like 8 or 9 races without winning, but they were second place in like 6 of them. They were right there. And then it's like they found it. They started winning. And then it's like the qualifying, which we've seen in IndyCar. Qualifying means a lot. It went away. And that's weird for a Penske team. Usually Penske, you think of the resources, the speed. He just hasn't had it. And the other factor is they've been on the West Coast all 3 of these races. It's not like they've come back to Indy and can make adjustments. It's going from one to the other to the other. How could they have found that speed? They haven't had it in the other 2 West Coast races. Well, I don't know why they would all of a sudden, just because we go to a street course and they just magically found the speed. It's not NASCAR where you're going to look up and see the championship guys up front. It's not like he's going to get this extra bit and you're going to see Newgarden on the pole. I just struggle to think that he's going to actually just turn it on. So I think it favors him historically, but I'd say Pato maybe more in the driver's seat just because he's great on street courses. Top 5 at St. Pete last year in the finale, 2 podiums in a row at Belle Isle. So I feel like he's got it more right now.
Yeah, because as far as the rest of the odds, Herta is the slight favorite, also at 4-1, and that's it. So it's a Herta, Palou, and Award. So Palou, let's get him out of there. So Herta and Award. Now it's interesting, Herta and Award, because you talked about this over the last few days about whether or not they're even going to be around in the IndyCar series.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, the next few years are going to be key because they'll be here because Award's got a longer-term deal, a couple more years. Herta signed a recent deal, a couple of years. But I know Andretti's interested in buying an F1 team. So if I was him and I want an American driver, who are you going to take with you? Probably going to take my young star that can take over there. And then Pato drives for Arrow McLaren. McLaren's got the F1 team. If he wins the championship these next few years, wouldn't they want to see what he can do in an F1 seat? And so these are 2, they're both 21, 22 years old. They've got some time to end up going overseas. So I think IndyCar has got to do anything they can to keep these guys because this is the future. Look at how good Herta just won last week.
Absolutely.
You don't want to lose these guys. So, yeah, I'm
Is it financial?
Oh, yeah, Formula One makes way more money. It's the only thing with them is McLaren's starting to turn it around. It depends on what Andretti can buy into because we've seen F1. Unless you drive a Mercedes, a Red Bull, or a Ferrari, you're not going to win. Look at Romain Grosjean. He was just that team just wasn't anything. They have not anything, and he's gone. He comes here and he's a factor. So it's, do you want to go over there, make more money, and not be in a chance to win, or stay here, make a decent living, and have a championship? What should you rather have? So it's going to come down to their personal preference, I think.
So what are we talking about then as far as the series? I mean, what can the series do anything together to try and keep these young drivers here?
I don't think you can. I just keep doing what you're doing to make it enticing, making these cars enjoyable to drive, making the parity, keep doing what you're doing and hope they want to stay. I heard him mention to me that he doesn't really have a whole lot of F1 aspirations. His dad was an IndyCar driver. He's like, I want to be competitive here.
Where's Herta from?
Now, granted, California.
Okay.
So it's, how can they make it? To me, to keep Pato, I'd explore getting into the Mexico market. He's Mexican. We don't have any races down there. Maybe bring a Mexican race to the IndyCar schedule to let him feel wanted down there. Yeah. And they've been exploring that for a while. It's just getting the track in the country to jump on board with IndyCar and sanctioning fees and all that type. But I'd say that'd be a priority to keep him.
Okay. Now, as far as the race itself, let's talk about who you think are other good contenders for the race, because you have Rossi's at 9-1, Powers at 10-1, Grosjean 15-1, and then Ericsson at 18-1. Even though he's got 2 wins on the street courses so far this season. So who do you like?
Rossi the best, just because he's had speed, he's had bad luck. You look at last week, he started on the front row, just ran off course trying to battle for the lead with Herta. But you look at what Herta has done the last 2 years, last 2 times we've raced at Laguna Seca, he's led 94% of the laps and won both. You look at what Rossi's done at Long Beach, he's led 89% of the laps the last 2 times he's been there, won the pole both times, won the race both times. If Herta's speed is translating well over to the previous track, why would Rossi's not for here? His speed seems to be around. And I venture to think, other than a Ward and Newgarden, you're not going to get a lot of pressure from guys being too aggressive to go for the win. So I would say Rossi. Plus, you got to look at Palou's teammates. Dixon, Ericsson, I think, will try to win if he's up there because it can help Palou. Dixon, these guys are going to try to help Palou win. So that means, why push it and try to wreck going for the win when if you could stay second, third, fourth to keep somebody else, Pato or Newgarden, winning, you're going to do that. So as long as Rossi doesn't make a mistake and his car is as good as it's been, I would say for 9-1, run with that.
Okay. And your feelings on Palou as a young potential champion with all the pressure that's going to be on him on Sunday. Do you believe he has the makeup to deal with the pressure? And if he doesn't find a way to finish in the top 10, it's not going to be because of pressure. It's just going to be because, well, this just isn't the type of course that fits him.
I do. We'll see if he said everything he said this year was the smoke and mirrors or legit, because he's basically said pressure. He doesn't feel it. He doesn't care about pressure because he felt his pressure was just to get to this point. He's like, now, yes, is there pressure to be in the seat? Yeah, but there was pressure my whole career to even get to this point. And you got to look at what's around him. 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson. Dario Franchitti's won 3 4 Series championships and one of the IndyCar legends. Scott Dixon's won 6 championships. Chip Ganassi's won like 10 or 11 as a company. He's got all this championship mantra around him to lean on. He's said all the right things. He's like, this isn't pressure. Pressure is trying to do this for a living, not to win a championship. I got to block that out. So he said all that. Now, let's see what happens in the race. We'll see. Now, if he goes out and makes aggressive moves and finishes in the top 5 still, and it's like, okay, he's legit. It didn't get to him. But we'll see what happens. Everybody can say what they want to get in the moment. And let's see what he can do in them. He's not been here before.
No.
I think he said he hasn't won a championship before in his life in anything.
Wow.
Other than maybe like bikes. So this would be new to him.
Okay. Yeah, we even talked about how much pressure we believe Kyle Larson is going to be under in Phoenix.
Yep.
And he's older. So, all right. So then let's take away as far as his previous run last couple of months, or even the whole year, if you want to talk about the street courses. You've already talked about some of his results. is there anything that you can look back to and say, he had a couple of mishaps here or there, or has he pretty much kept himself in as a leader in the championship points race? I would assume that he's kept his car pretty clean most of the season. So is there anything that would worry you if you're in his camp as far as, well, we got to avoid something he did at this other race at this other time? Let's not do that again.
Just street courses in general, as in a strong suit. Or the other thing would be his engine, the reliability of his engine. He's always been one engine behind everybody, which has forced grid penalties, which has forced him in the back, which these mistakes have happened because IndyCar allows like 5 or 6 engines per season. They try to limit it. So if you change one in an inopportune time, you get a grid penalty. Well, he blew an engine in the preseason test. So he's already one behind going into this season. And it's just, he's known to have engine problems. Indy road course, he blew an engine. It just seemed, Indy during the month of May, going into Carb Day, blew an engine. They had to swap it out, which caused the grid penalty at Belle Isle. So the engine reliability to me would be the factor that, can we make sure this car makes it the whole race? Don't blow an engine. Don't make mistakes. Because other than that, he's a flawless driver. I mean, to me, the season has ebbed and flowed, and I wrote about this week of the laps that have shaped this championship. Like, as an example, the first race of the year, Joseph Newgarden's collected in a first lap crash, finishes like 23rd out of 24 cars or 25 cars. Lap 18 or 19 that day, Pato Ward had a cut tire in pit. And Alexander Rossi didn't know he had a cut tire and thought he was just covering him. He pit with him. Well, it was an unscheduled stop. That came to the lead of Pelot. Pelot never gave it back the rest of the day. He won the race. But you can also – so you got Pato giving up points. But you also got the 2 laps to go in the Indy 500, double points. Elio Castroneves passes Pelot for the win. That's an 18-point difference. So what happens if he wins that race? Well, he's clinched it. If you just take that one race – it's clinched. He had 18 points to his total. Nobody can catch him.
Probably couldn't care less about points if you won that race.
No, you don't even think about it. So it ebbs and flows. I mean, you look at his month of August, he scored 15 total points. He Nashville, he was basically nothing. Then 15 total points after. He blew an engine in Indy, was 27th. And then he got caught up in that crash in Gateway, and he was 20th. Combined, that's 15 points. Pato Award had 73 points by comparison that month. Joseph Newgarden had 78. That's why this championship is condensed. And you got to look, the grid penalty wasn't his fault. The engine blowing really wasn't his fault. And then getting caught up in a crash in Gateway wasn't his fault. So he had factors out of his control. That's why
How long ago was
I'm
that?
not too concerned. August. Those are the 3 races in August.
Oh, so, and how many races have there been this month?
2 this month. So these are the 3 races before this stretch. So that's why everybody thought coming to this West Coast stream, this might be Pato's championship to lose. Pelot was going backwards. They had all this bad luck. And here it's since gone back.
So he's done a really solid job straightening everything back out in his direction and putting himself in this position to win the championship on Sunday.
He has. And with teammates at your disposal, I think, like you said, Marcus Ericsson, 18-1, take it. He's won 2 street course races. One of them in Nashville, he nearly won airborne and came back down and won. So with those at your disposal, knowing you need to finish, really to eliminate Newgarden in the top 25, why would you not, if you need the position, hey, Jimmy Johnson, pull off the track. We need that position. Hey, why don't you do this? Hey, why don't you do that? Like that. I think that's probably the best case. You've got teammates at your disposal, so I feel confident he's going to be fine.
Okay, and then a long shot? Give me one long shot.
I like Sebastian Bourdais. He's
really
previous winner there.
100 to 1.
Previous winner there. Yep, he's won there multiple times. And you got to look at their best races this season, street course races. He was good at street last year. Like Charlie Kimball's teammate was on a Zoom call with him earlier in the week, and he made reference his last street course race was the season finale last year, Streets of St. Pete. And him and Bourdais both finished in the top 10. You look at what Bourdais done at St. Street course races this year. He should have been in the top 10 both races at Belle Isle, but here's what he told me. In Texas, he got punted from behind by Newgarden by accident. Newgarden didn't slow up in enough time. And then he and his teammate both were in the first lap crash. Their crash damage budget was gone. So they went conservative the rest of the season. Like, we can't take any risk for credit. We don't have the budget or the money.
So now it doesn't
we're a
matter.
smaller team. Last race. And you got to look at how good he is on street courses. He's won there before, 100-1.
Okay.
Has nothing to lose. I like it. I think you'll see him qualify in the top 10.
Put $1 on Bourdais at 100-1.
It's worth it.
That's right.
Another one I like too, Graham Rahal. I don't have the odds in front. I'm not sure what his odds are.
I think he's 35-1.
He hasn't won in 72 races.
Wow.
The last time he won?
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Last time he won, street course race, Belle Isle. He was swept both races. He's been the top 7 more times than not this year. It's just, can he qualify better? He's good at Long Beach. He hasn't led a lot of laps, but he's got a lot of good finishes there. Again, nothing to lose. He's going to be solidly in the top 10 at the end of the points because he's not going to fall out at this rate. For those odds, 35-1, I think you can make a strong case. He could go off strategy if he wants to. It's definitely worth a look.
What kind of a course, a couple more minutes before we let you go, what kind of a course is this? Is this a course where a driver can dominate? Can we see a lot of issues out there where can there be different strategies that can throw everything into a crazy loop? What kind of a track is it?
Definitely a race somebody will dominate if you have a clean air up front, because it's a street course race. Not a lot of passing opportunities. Where it's going to be a fun race to watch is the strategy. Is going to be the Firestone Reds, Firestone Blacks, and I've mentioned before that for those who don't know, the Reds are it's an alternate tire. It's faster, but it degrades quicker, so it doesn't last as long. Your lap times are going to fall off a cliff. Where the Firestone Primary, the black sidewall tires, they're just going to be more consistent over a run. But you have to run a stint on one of each. So when you time your stint on those based off lap traffic, anything like that, that's going to be the key. Because like an example, Joseph Newgarden in Belle Isle, a similar track, street course, the grade tires fast, all that kind of jazz. He led the first 67 laps. But because of his pitch strategy and which tires he was on, Pato Ward passed him with 3 to go and won the race. So it doesn't mean you can dominate and win. There's a capability if somebody's got their better tire strategy, that's going to be the one that wins the race.
Why did they have this rule?
I think to shake it up, because if you had the same tire, this is the rule I wish NASCAR would do, because it adds an element of strategy to it. Because that red tire, it's how can you set your car up to last the longest on that red tire. And granted, like last week in Monterey, the track it's like a Darlington. That track it's going to degrade even the black tires quick. So, but the red tire being faster and you got the black tire more consistent, it changes the setup of your car entirely. You've got to it makes it harder to land the setup right. I think it adds more parity. So I would if NASCAR could figure a way to do this on some of these ovals, it's because you could have somebody that'd be running away at the thing on black tires, but say the alternate tire, somebody pitted later, maybe 4th or 5th, but they may only have to go 20 laps staying on that tire, and they're just running qualifying laps. Can they catch that leader? That's what makes it fun. Is it a gimmick? Yes, I get it, but it adds an element of strategy to it that I think that's going to be the deciding factor. And when cautions come out, you can't plan for that, but sometimes a caution may come out and pit strategy may dictate, hey, let's pit and run out fuel, but we might want to put blacks on this because we're going to go the rest of the way. So we need to run. So, that element is a completely new element that changes everything.
Sure. By the way, what is that thing that they post on the board where they I was looking at every time I'm looking at it, I've been meaning to ask you, and you'll see the leaderboard, and then there's something on the right where it says something about passing.
Oh, push to pass.
What is that?
Yes. That's something else I wish NASCAR would use. So it's an extra boost of horsepower.
Like you're allowed to use?
Yep. That's why you get 200 seconds per race. Use them as you will. You push it, and it's activated. Sometimes it's like 15 seconds. Sometimes it's 20 seconds. So you push it, and it gives you. You know that Fast and Furious where they hit the movie? Just like that. But you can't. It's not unlimited. So, but what IndyCar has done, obviously, to have it on the leaderboard, we could all see, oh, he's got push to pass, or he's on it. You can see it. The team will relay that onto the car in front. Hey, he's on his push to pass. So they're going to use it too.
Well, how much faster are we talking about?
Not a ton. It's enough.
Like
I mean,
a
I
mile
think
an
it's
hour?
at least a couple.
So 2 or
It's a
3
good
miles an hour.
horsepower boost. Yeah, it's enough that if the car in front of you is not on it, you're going to pass him like he's a lame duck.
Okay.
But the thing is, you want to use it to defend, but you also want them in the end where if you get a restart and somebody can get a good run and because IndyCar is different than NASCAR. Once the green comes out, you can go. You can pass. It doesn't matter where on track you are. So if you're on that button, you can make up a lot of spots. So that's why you'll see that push the 128 seconds or 91 seconds. They can
So
use
you have,
it.
you
So
would you
you
say
don't
200 seconds?
200 seconds a
So
race.
you can
Yep.
use it for 200. How often do they normally use it for each time? Is there an average,
Um,
or it could be anything?
it comes in 20-second
Oh,
bursts.
okay.
So you can use it. You could come off of it at any time.
So you
Say
can
like
use it
I want
10
to use it
times.
if you wanted to.
Why
But you
wouldn't
can
you want
also
to?
if you say you're on the run, you want to use it, but you're like I'm not going to get this guy. You can let off the button. It won't last the full 20 seconds. So you
Oh,
can
yeah,
save it
sure.
per
That
se.
makes sense.
So you want to use it. Most of the time, the guys will run out by the end. I mean, it's a use it or lose it type
Yeah,
deal.
okay.
Just it doesn't roll over to the next race.
Okay.
So you want to use it, but some guys I think it is like a game to them. Like I'm going to hold it off as long as I can because I want to go the last
Till the
3
end.
laps, or I could I can use the whole thing. But the other thing is too, though, you got to add the extra bit of horsepower is going to change your setup a little bit because you don't practice with it. It only comes on during the race. You can't use it for practice or qualifying or any of that. So you got to know if your tire life falls off and you're giving yourself more horsepower, it's going to change some things.
Okay.
So, yeah,
They
it's
should try
definitely.
to find. I know it sounds, but they should come up with something else, like another name for it. It almost sounds
I don't
too
like
simple. Push to pass.
it.
I mean,
And you don't even really pass with it. It's more strategy. I would be okay. I like it, but I'd also be okay if they just did away with it. It's like it doesn't
It's not
serve
that
a
big
ton
a
of
deal.
purpose. No, because like
So
I
we've
said,
never really seen somebody push to pass and pass someone on a final lap for victory.
No, because everybody usually still because you got to think like what I think their mind was push the pass and you're going to fly by the person. I don't think
like
I've
in
ever
the movies.
Seen it. Yeah, it's like and they don't do that. I want to see that, but it's not going to happen.
I mean, is it
it's like,
nitro?
do we need this? No, but it seems like
Okay.
it's supposed to be that premise,
Yeah, okay.
but it's like a bank that opens up more horsepower. I mean, they tested it here at the Speedway on the oval last. I don't know if it's fall or the spring. It was one of the two tests that I went to, and the drivers didn't like it. They said it was kind of weird because you're in the middle of a turn. If you got this extra horse, because they said a lot of times you were literally going from. And actually, there it added 10 miles an hour. I guess I know that because they were going 240 normally on the straightaway. That they were going over 250 entering the corners. They said it changes your entry points.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
So I don't know if an oval. Now that I said I wish NASCAR would try it, I don't know if it would work for them on an oval. I think that would change a lot of things. Where I'd rather just see NASCAR use the tire compound.
Yeah.
Let's change up a tire compound a little bit.
Yeah. We don't see enough of that anymore in NASCAR where the tires fall off and you got two cars trying to hold on in the last 20 laps and they're slipping and sliding. You know, we don't see that anymore in NASCAR.
No.
It's a shame. Okay, so who's going to win the championship?
I'm going to go the upset. I think Pato's going to do it. This sounds weird. I just think Palou is not going to finish in the top. I'm going to say 14th, 15th. And I think Pato is going to start up front, lead the most laps, win the race,
and win the race.
He's going to win. Yep, I think he's going to win. I'm going to go. I think too many people are going to say Pato, so I'm going to be different. And this is going to come back and bite me, and Pato's probably going to crash. But I just have this feeling. I don't know why that he's just going to be. Here's a good fact: they have not had a champion other than Andretti, Penske, or Ganassi since 2002. This would be the first one. And he'd be the second youngest driver to ever do it.
So he's breaking some trends.
He's breaking some trends. But I'm going to right now, I'm going to say Pato.
Okay.
I'm going to say Pato just because the street course factor for Palou doesn't phase him. There doesn't suit him well, and it suits Pato well.
Makes sense.
And I think it's going to add an element.
Yeah. And definitely makes sense if you're just picking the race in general, because like you said, Palou's not winning this race. And
no.
All right, and then you would also put money on Ericsson at 18-1, Ray Hall at 35-1, and Bourdais at 100-1.
Yep, those would be my long shots, and Rossi at 9-1. I'd go him too, and that would pretty much be it. In qualifying, you'll know a lot on Saturday at 3:00. Well, probably by 4:30 by the time they're done about who you really feel good about.
That's the only thing that stinks about. It's like it's great that you can. Hey, you know, my guy qualified well, and I'm going to get him at 100 to 1. Well, no, you're not, because he qualified well. Now the odds are going to go whoop all the way down. So it's like, it's the only thing that kind of stinks about the whole. It's like you just, it's almost like you have to gamble that you're going to qualify well, you know?
That's why I always, for IndyCar, just pick on this day leading into the practice or before, just bet long shots at this point, because the favorites aren't going to change a whole lot because they're already favored anyways. And just bet long shots,
bets
and then it's
early.
Do it early because like you said, if Bourdais qualifies in the top 6, he's not going to be 100 to 1 on Sunday morning. He'd probably be more.
Something probably.
Yep. Which still are good odds, but you
don't want $20. You want $100. So
exactly. So
Check out racereviewonline.net for all sorts of IndyCar coverage and NASCAR coverage, and we'll continue the NASCAR programming next week. Eric, enjoy the racing. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Sounds good.